Hello, Miss Golden Girl here. How are you this evening, this Tuesday evening? It's been a while since I've come on live. So I am here this evening because it is time for me to take a trip. Yes, guess what? I'm going back to California. Sacramento, California. Yes, I'm so excited about it. Me and my daughter, we're flying out of Atlanta on November the 1st, and we're going back to Sac. Hello, thank you for joining me. Yes. Hi, Butterroll. How are you? Oh, this is going to be so much fun. Yes, I am a little rusty here. I got to get things working here. Hi, Butterroll. Thank you for stopping in. As I'm sharing this evening, my excitement about going back to Sacramento, California for a visit. The last time I was there was in December 2000. Yes, December 2000. So it is approaching almost 23 years. 23 years. I lived in Sacramento for 7 years. I arrived there with two of my children in August 1992. And to live in California was a dream of mine. It was a dream. Hello, thank you for stopping in. Yes. Um, Traveling is my passion. And so I want to bring you along with me as I return to Sacramento, California for a visit after almost 23 years. When I graduated college in March 1975, my plan was to work a year and move to California. So that would have been 1976. Well, I didn't make it to California until August 1992. But I'm a dreamer and I'm a planner. And I just kept visualizing and visualizing myself living in California. As a young girl, hi, Imray. Thank you for dropping in. Um, as I was sharing, is that I dreamed about living in California, visiting California from a young girl. My little young cousin, she used to go to California in the summertime to visit her sister. Now, I'm in elementary school or either junior high. And when she would come back, I would say, "Tell me all about California. Did you go to Disneyland? What did you do?" And I couldn't figure out a way to get to California while I was in school, in junior high, in high school. Couldn't figure it out. The first time that I made it to California, I was in college and it was for a spring break. And it had snowed in Michigan. We had a snowstorm. And I got a chance to escape to California. And it was the first time that, I had taken a vacation during spring break because I worked a lot when I was in college. Oh, Butterroll, you said your daughter moved there 15 years ago. Oh, how awesome. What part of California, Butterroll? Oh, yes. It was a dream come true for me. So, as I was sharing, is that I don't know if my daughter will pop up on this, but I'm going to bring her in because we're going to be talking about our trip to California from now until we leave, and then we're going to bring you along on the trip. Hey, Sylvia. Oh, Woodland Hills. Okay, okay. Is that in Southern or is that in Northern California? Sacramento is up Northern California. I like Sacramento because I like government jobs at the time. And so I was looking to get a job with the state of California or some uh, government part. So I ended up getting hired by Sacramento County. Oh, M. Ray says she moved to California for a few years. Oh, okay. Oh, this is so exciting. Hey, I could drop a link. Anybody want to come up? So, but as I was sharing, oh, you think it's in the southern part, Butterroll? Okay, okay. So as I was sharing, is that in 1986, I was started planning to go to California in 1987, but that didn't work out. My kids were still small, and I couldn't get everything worked out as far as needing my child care. But in 1991, my mother figured she passed away suddenly, and she was a school teacher, and she had taught school for over 40 years. And oh, you love shopping there? Oh, you bought a Honda from, oh yeah, those foreign cars used to be big out there in California. See, I came from Michigan, and my father worked for, the truck and coach, so that's General Motors. So, I was raised, you don't buy foreign cars. So when I went to California, I had an American made car, and I was loyal. I was loyal to the American made cars. I have never purchased a foreign car myself. Oh, let me see what I'm trying to do here. Okay. And so I'm jumping around but I'm going to try to bring this story and get this out this week because I want to set the tone for Robinson Department Store. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. The stores that I got to know out there, Nordstrom's, because coming out of Michigan, we didn't have Nordstrom, but Nordstrom was big out there in Sacramento. Oh, there's my daughter. Hey, Shayla. Shayla, you want to come up? Let me see. I'm going to drop the link. Why don't you see if you can come in, Shayla? Because you're part of my host. You might be able to come in. I haven't had a trip with my daughter like this in a long time. And so I'm so excited about it. She's a caregiver for her dad and for her grandmother. So this is exciting. We're going to California, just the two of us, for a week. Got the hotel reservation made. I got our airline tickets. I'm using my companion pass. I have this travel card, Alaska Airline. And so annually on my anniversary date, I get a companion pass. And so we're going to fly out of Atlanta, and I got us upgraded seats. Not first class, but upgraded so we can have room. I was looking about a day pass for the lounge. When we come back, we're going to have a nice layover in Seattle. We will fly from Atlanta to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Sacramento. And then going back, we fly from Sacramento to Seattle. and we got a long layover there. And then we arrived back in Atlanta the next day. Here's my daughter. She says she miss Cali. She miss Cali. That's my daughter. She went with me to California. I was divorced, and so I had to petition the court to be able to take my children out of the state of Michigan. But I was determined. I was going. And I wasn't going to let anything stand in the way of me going. I wanted my children to go with me. But if that didn't work out, then I was going. So they had the choice that they could go and stay with their dads. I was married twice. My daughters by my first marriage and my two sons by my second. And my oldest son, Charles, he did decide to go stay with his dad. And so Shayla and Kevin went with me to California. And Kevin stayed there in California with me for a couple of years. And then he came back to Michigan when he was 11 and stayed with his dad. So, but yay, Emre, we all expat. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Oh, my daughter is going to try to come up. She's pulling up her computer. I'm going to see if she come up. I wasn't going to bother her this week, but I'm going to have her on with me for the next Tuesdays as we talk about our trip. But let me back up. So what I did is that I took a deferred retirement. My mother figure died in 1991, and she had taught school for over 40 years. She was eligible to retire. I wanted her to retire. She didn't retire, and she died. And so never being able to draw her pension, never being able to draw her 401, her retirement accounts, never being able to draw her Social Security. So I made up in my mind, I was rushing my retirement because I was looking forward to the day when I could retire and move to California. So I decided after her death that I was in a position. She left me some inheritance. That I was in a position with my deferred comp and my inheritance that I could go to California. So what I decided to do, I had reached the point of my goal for my career with the state of Michigan. I wanted to be an administrator. And so I had reached that goal. And so I said, why not go for it? The kids were big enough that I wouldn't have to worry about childcare. And I had some money. So I decided to take a deferred retirement. And what that means is I deferred my retirement with the state of Michigan. And I moved to California without a job, but I had savings. I had enough savings to maintain our lifestyle for 12 months. And in the meantime, I figured I could find a job. My degree was in accounting, and I've always been able to, get jobs with that degree. So, it went down to the wire. Oh, I'm telling you, it went down to the wire. I got there August 1992. And I wasn't trying to go to work for a while because I wanted to get my kids situated in school. And it was good because it was the first time that I had the opportunity to, be at home with my kids for a while and not pregnant, So I took advantage of that, and I went. I'm looking to change something, y'all. So what I did to supplement my income, because I set my retirement deferred comp up, my retirement account, I was getting monthly checks. So I wanted to supplement that money. I wanted to make it, stretch it. So I got a paper route. Yes, I always wanted a paper route. I always wanted a paper route. So I got a paper route in California. I threw papers. I had, and then I looked for temp jobs. Wow, because what happened is I had some friends, I had some mentors that were helping me. Because what God has for you, can't anyone stop. And she's gone on to glory now. But my mentor, Martha Bibbs, when I told her I wanted to move to California, she made contacts. And so I went there and I talked to a friend of hers. She was a state rep, and they put me in contact with some other people. Shout out to Charles Blackett. He put me in contact with a person there. So I ended up, as soon as I got there, taking a test and getting on the register for Sacramento County as auditor position. But what happened is they froze it for some reason. I took this test like in September and didn't actually get a position until May. And it was really something. My money was running out. Woo-hoo! My money was running out. And I had made up my mind that I wasn't going back. My kids may have to go back and stay with their dads, but I wasn't going back. It was spring break, so I had taken the kids. We had gone down to the amusement park and for the day. And when I got back home, there was a message on the phone about a job interview with Sacramento County Parks and Rec. And to make the story short, I had the interview and I got the job offer. And my aunt, my mother's sister, Aunt Virginia, who supported me on this move to California. My father was dead against me moving to California. But I had been a good daughter, and I had stayed in Michigan until my brother retired from the service. He had made a career out of it. And I felt like, okay, now my brother's out of the service. It's time that, I could take this opportunity to move, that I could move away from Michigan, and my brother could stand in the gap if my dad needed anything. But my dad was very upset with me, and very, very upset. I was a daddy's girl, and my father just wrote me off. He wouldn't have anything to do with me while I was in California, and he ended up dying, the year later. But it's okay. It's all right, because what God has for you, no one else can change that. And I just want to encourage you to live your dreams. You only live once, and you do everything you can to help your family and to be there for them. But these are a dream that I had. And people tried to poison my son Charles, his mind, that I had left him. Really? Never. I had got an attorney that handled me, being able to take the kids out of the state of Michigan. And I thought I was going to have to give up my custody of Charles. And I never wanted to give up the custody of my children. That just was dear to me. But my attorney, he worked it so that his dad and we had, I kept the custody of him, but we had joint, I can't remember what it's called now, but I still had the custody, but we both had the joint whatever, so that if any decision still had to be made, if I wanted him to come back with me, it could, because I still maintained the custody of him. But people poisoned my son's mind and said to him that I left him. I came back to Michigan one time. This woman doesn't even know what she's talking about. She don't even know she's talking to me, and she gonna talking about his mother left him. And took everything I could not to jerk her up, but I'm not that kind of person. And and I spoke up, like, hey, I'm his mother. So I don't know what story you telling or where you got that from. He had a choice to go stay with his dad, and he wanted to go stay with his dad, and I allowed him to go stay with his dad. I wanted him to come with us to California, and I was going to fly him back, but he didn't trust me. So he said, no, I'm not coming. But he came. I think I had him fly out for Thanksgiving, or he came for Christmas. And so just to show, co-parenting, and I strived real hard to co-parent with my children's father. Very, very hard. And what I did, I spent a lot of money on the phone bill, long distance. I talked to him every day when he got out of school. I called them and talked to him. And and they was poisoning his mind. And I had to say to him, I said, one day you're going to grow up, and there's going to be things that you want to do. And this is my dream. I want you very much to be part of my dream. But you chose that you wanted to go stay with your dad. And I didn't make you come to California with me. I could have. But I didn't want to do that because I thought he might rebel. So I had to keep talking to my son to let him know, hey, I'm still your mother. And I love you. But this is something I want to do for me. I want to do this for me. I would love for you to be part of it. So what I did, I ended up getting a job at Sacramento Airport. And God is good. I met a friend, and he helped me out. He flew a couple of times to Michigan. He worked for United Airlines, picked my kids up, and flew them back to California to help me out because they had to go back and forth to Michigan to be with their dads. So, but I'm jumping around. Next week, I'm going to try to write this out so I won't jump around. But hopefully you got the gist of it. In my dream to live in California, there were sacrifices that I made. My relationship with my dad became estranged. My son that I allowed to go stay with his dad, being brainwashed that his mother left him. But my daughter, she was there with me. And the best thing I could have done for my daughter was moving to California. The girls in Michigan was mean to my daughter. They were mean. Girls can be so petty. I didn't know that. Terrorizing my daughter. And so California was awesome for her. It wasn't good for my sons. And Kevin went back to stay with his dad so him and his brother could be together. But I got the job at the airport. And then I worked my way up in addition to my day job. My day job was with Sacramento County as an accountant. And then I worked at the airport on the weekends. And so I started out as a pre-board screener. And back during that time, that was minimum wage job. The government had to step in and the TSA. So, but it paid a bill. And that's the way I looked at it. You know, working that Saturday and Sunday there, that paid a bill and it helped. So then this friend of mine, he ended up helping me get a job, hired on at the hotel there. I mean, God just puts people in your place to want to help you. And so I got hired there. And so then he says to me, well, why don't you get a job with the airline so you can fly? And I thought only full-time people got flying privilege. So he helped me get hired with United Express West Air. And then I had flying privileges. So then I could fly when I wanted to, reasonably on the different airlines, and my kids could fly. So I would be back and forth. People would say to me, I thought you moved to California. I did. I did move to California. But I would fly out of Sacramento on the red eye, get into Chicago. I would get into Chicago maybe about 5 in the morning. And then I would catch this flight out of Chicago about 7 and get into Lansing or get into Detroit. So I made basketball games. I made conferences. I was there for my children, long distance. And that's God working it out. He knew my heart, and he knew I wanted to experience living in California. So he made a way for it to work out. I would fly my kids. We flew standby. So I would fly them back and forth to Michigan. I would meet them. My youngest son at the time, he was playing youth basketball, and they would travel around. I met them in Tennessee. I met them in Florida. I came back and I helped work fundraisers. So God made a way for me to live my dream. And I'm going back. I'm going back to Sacramento after over 22 years, almost 23 years. Let me share this before I close out this evening. In 1999, my son oldest son graduated from college, and I needed to go back to Michigan for my younger son. I wanted him to come to California, but I knew he wasn't going to do it. And so his dad was about to get married again, and I needed to go back so that my son could come and stay with me. And so I made the decision I was going back. I needed to go back to be there for my son, youngest son. My oldest son had graduated and, had started college. So I left my daughter. 1999, I flew back to Michigan, had packed up everything, shipped it back, and I left my daughter in California. She had gotten her place, and I knew she would be okay, but I needed to go back for my youngest son. He was still in high school. So in 2000, I came to visit her for Mother's Day, and also I returned back to visit her for Christmas. So December 2000, that was the last time I visited Sacramento. And then that May, my daughter moved to Georgia. And so that was a lot closer to Michigan. So, I could drive there to visit her. But hey, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Come back next Tuesday and I'll bring you up to date on my dream to live in Sacramento, California. I took a deferred retirement and moved to California without a job, but I had savings. I had savings to, last me for 12 months. And in that time, I trusted God that He would provide a job for me. And He did. He did provide a job for me. Went down to the wire, but I step out on faith. And in telling this story, you're going to see how my faith is just so strong in God. He's been so good to me all my life. From a little baby, a little bitty baby. I've walked with him, as I grew. My grandmother, she taught me that, and she told me that God would always be there for me and provide for me and carry me when I needed to be carried. You know how that one print goes with the footprints. You only see one set of footprints, and that's because Jesus is carrying you in His arms when He needs you. So come back next Tuesday as I share more of the story. I'll write out my scripts. I won't be jumping around. So, because I want you to know how I did it, how I waited many, many years, 17 years it took me to be able to get up the courage to move out of Michigan. But I'm telling you, once I made that first move, I'll go anywhere now. I done lived in Georgia. I done spent 7 months in Hawaii. I go to Alaska. So, hey, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going next. So, I'm age 72 now. And it appears as God has granted me some additional time. And I had asked Him for age 70, but seems like He's got work for me. He's got work for me. I want to thank everyone for coming on with me. And as I share my story, how my dream to live in California came to manifest itself. I'm telling you, God is so, so good. Traveling is my passion. I love to travel, go see different places, and live different places, try different things. And my daughter is the same way. She loves to travel too. She loves to go, and she'll move around too. She will. She's lived in she moved to Georgia. Then she went to Arizona for about 7 months. She came to Alaska when I was in Alaska. 2 of my kids came to Alaska and worked. So I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna tell you. So I'll see you next Tuesday as I continue the excitement that I'm going back to Sacramento, California after almost 23 years. 23 years. And we're making a list, all the places we want to go eat. I still have some relatives in California, so I'm going to see them. Hey, Sylvia, I got to call you so we can get our date on the calendar. Sylvia Smart, my co-worker. Oh, yeah, we had some good times working together. Also, my daughter and I, we're going to go up to Tahoe or we're going to go up to Reno. We're going to do one of those. That's one thing about living in Sacramento. You could go to Tahoe, Nevada, for the casinos. Yes, I do. I like to pull the slots sometimes, pull that machine. I like the food. They have some good buffets. So I'm going. You know how I am. It takes me 3 goodbyes before I say goodbye. But look at my sweater, the Eiffel Tower. I always wanted to go to France, go to Paris, but I don't know if I'll make that. I got one state left to visit, and that's North Dakota. So hopefully in the next year or two, I'll make it there. But this year, going back to Cali. All right. Love you. God bless. And I'll see you next Tuesday as I continue on with the story. And continue on. I got a story. I'm gonna tell you. My car caught on fire. Oh, my car that I had paid for. Oh, so we'll talk about that next week. All this happened at the same time. I was running out of money, didn't have a job, permanent job yet. I had to temp job, but testimony. Oh, God worked it out. And I want to say this. My dad was so concerned that I was making bad decisions about my career. He was concerned that I wasn't going to have a pension, which I had, when I took the deferred retirement, I already had 15 and a half years. But I ended up returning back to Michigan and took an early retirement. And I've been retired now, drawing my pension. It was 20 years in March, drawing the pension. Retired January 1st, 2003. So it was 20 years. So I know my dad's up there in heaven, looking down, saying, I'm sorry, Anita. You knew what you were doing. I'm sorry. But everything happens for a reason. I was a daddy's girl. And I looked at it. God had to put that in exchange time between my daddy and my father and I, so that when he was calling him home, it wouldn't be such a shock to my system. But hey, stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's an awesome story, and it's an awesome testimony. When you walk with God and when you strive to do His will, He will provide. I moved to California without a job. I had some savings. I moved back to Michigan without a job. I had some savings. But God has always provided for me. Hey, where's that job? I'll tell anybody, hey, I trust Him. He gave me that job. He gonna give me another job. So, hey, that's the way I looked at it. And He's done it. He's done it. So, love you. Good night. See you next Tuesday. Miss Golden Girl here. Traveling is my passion. I'm going to Cali. Bye-bye.